Commander Veltar stood in the dark command chamber of his massive warship. The walls glowed with soft blue light as holographic images danced in the air before him. His 6 eyes focused on a small planet spinning slowly in the display. It looked peaceful from space, with white clouds swirling over blue oceans and brown continents. "This is the world they call Earth," his intelligence officer said. The alien's voice carried disgust as he spoke. "The creatures there name themselves humans." Veltar's sharp claws tapped against the metal rail. His species had ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. They had seen many worlds and many races. Some were peaceful farmers. Others were simple traders. But this new species was different. It's very different. "Tell me about their progress," Veltar ordered. The hologram changed to show charts and numbers. Red lines climbed upward like angry snakes. "Commander, they discovered how to split atoms only 90 years after they learned to use steam engines. Most species take 500 years to make such progress. These humans did it in less than 100. Veltar's mandibles clicked together. This was the sound his people made when they were worried or angry. "Show me how they use this knowledge."
Oh.
The peaceful image of Earth vanished. Now the hologram showed scenes of destruction. Massive explosions that turned cities to ash. Mushroom clouds reaching toward the sky like the fingers of death. Craters where mountains used to stand. "They have used atomic weapons twice in warfare," the intelligence officer continued. "But they have built thousands more. Each weapon can destroy an entire city. They point these weapons at each other across their planet." But the display showed more than just atomic bombs. Veltar watched images of human soldiers fighting in muddy trenches, aircraft dropping fire from the sky, tanks rolling across burning fields, ships sinking in dark oceans. The humans seemed to fight constantly. Their entire recorded history is warfare, the officer explained. They fight over land, over resources, over ideas, over the color of their skin. In their most recent global war, they killed 50 million of their own kind in just 6 years. Veltar studied the images with growing alarm. His own people had fought wars long ago, but nothing like this. The humans seemed to enjoy finding new ways to destroy each other. They built weapons that could kill from great distances. They created poison gases that burned the lungs. They invented bombs that could level entire neighborhoods. "Look at their cities, Commander." The display showed human settlements from above. Millions of creatures packed together like insects in a hive. They reproduce rapidly and consume everything. Around them, their atmosphere grows, poisoned from their factories. Their oceans fill with waste, yet still they multiply. The worst part was how quickly they learned. Every war taught them to build better weapons. Every conflict made them more dangerous. They went from throwing spears to splitting atoms in just a few thousand years. At this rate, they would reach the stars within decades. Veltar thought about other species his people had encountered. The peaceful Krell had taken 10,000 years to develop spaceflight. The wise Mordani had spent centuries in careful discussion before taking each technological step. But these humans rushed forward like a wildfire, consuming and destroying without thought for consequences. "The Galactic Council has made its decision," Veltar announced to his bridge crew. "This species cannot be allowed to spread beyond their world. We have seen what they do to their own planet and their own kind. Imagine what they would do to others." His officers nodded in agreement. They had all studied the reports. They had all seen the images of human cruelty and destruction. The humans were like a disease that would infect the entire galaxy if left unchecked. "We will grant them mercy," Veltar continued. "A quick death is better than the slow destruction they would bring to countless other worlds. Prepare the purification fleet." Far below on Earth, Captain Jinwoo Park sat in his chair at the Seoul Defense Center. Banks of computers hummed around. His screens showed data from satellites and deep space sensors. He had worked at this job for 12 years, watching for signs of danger from space. Mostly he tracked asteroids and space debris. Today felt different. Lieutenant Haewon Kim looked up from her console with worried eyes. "Captain, I'm reading something strange. Energy signatures beyond Neptune's orbit." Ginwoo walked over to look at her screen. The numbers made no sense. Whatever was out there was massive and getting closer. How many contacts? 100, sir? Maybe more. They're arranged in some kind of formation. Heywan's voice grew quiet. Captain, these readings are unlike anything in our databases. The energy output is enormous. Jinwoo felt ice in his stomach. He had always wondered if Earth was alone in the universe. Now he was getting his answer, and he did not like what he saw. He reached for the red phone that connected directly to military commanders around the world. "This is Seoul Defense Control," he said when the line opened. "We have unknown contacts approaching from deep space. Alert all defense networks immediately." He paused, looking out the window at the city where millions of people went about their normal lives, unaware that death was coming from the stars. And may heaven help us all. The message came from the darkness of space at exactly noon, Seoul time. Every television screen on Earth flickered and went black. Then a face appeared that no human had ever seen before. It had 6 yellow eyes and skin like dark metal. When it spoke, the words came in perfect Korean, then English, then Mandarin, and 14 other languages. "People of Earth," the alien commander said. His voice was calm and cold. "I am Veltar of the Hegemony Fleet. Species has been observed and judged. You are violent and dangerous. Destroy your own world and kill your own kind. We cannot allow you to spread this sickness to other planets." Ginwoo Park stood frozen in the Seoul Defense Center as the message continued. Around him, his staff stared at their screens in shock. The alien's words were clear and terrible. "In 72 hours, we will cleanse your world. This is not punishment. This is mercy. Your deaths will be quick and painless. We do this to protect the galaxy from what you would become." The message ended. Earth's normal broadcasts returned, but nothing would ever be normal again. Minutes. Emergency sirens wailed in every major city. World leaders spoke on emergency channels. Impossible had happened. Humanity was no longer alone. Their new neighbors wanted them dead. Major Dong-Hyun Lee sat in his fighter cockpit on the launch pad of the International Space Station. He was 34 years old, married to a teacher named Myung, and had a 5-year-old daughter who loved to draw pictures of rockets. As he ran through his pre-flight checks, he tried not to think about whether he would ever see them again. "Phoenix Squadron, this is Control," came the voice in his headset. "Alien scouts have been detected near Mars. Your mission is to intercept and assess their capabilities." Dong-Han looked at the 10 other fighters preparing to launch with him. They were the best pilots from 7 different countries, but their ships were built for fighting other humans, not aliens from across the galaxy. Still, they had to try. "Phoenix Squadron, ready for launch," he reported. The journey to Mars took 18 hours. During the flight, Dong-Han talked quietly with his wingman, Minho Choi. Minho was younger, only 26, and had joined the Space Force to explore the stars, not to fight a war for humanity's survival. "What do you think? They look like up close," Minho asked over the radio. "I don't know," Dong-Hyun replied. "But I hope we don't have to find out." When they reached Mars, the alien scouts were waiting. 3 ships hung in space like silver daggers, each one twice the size of a human fighter. They moved with impossible grace, turning and spinning without any visible engines or exhaust. "Phoenix leader to all fighters," Dong-Hyun broadcast. "Remember, we're here to learn what we can. Try to stay alive long enough to report back." The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes. The alien weapons fired beams of pure energy that cut through human armor like paper. Phoenix 4 exploded without warning. Phoenix 7 tried to run and was vaporized before he could turn around. The aliens moved faster than anything humans had ever built. Dong-Hyun watched in horror as Minho's fighter took a direct hit. One moment his friend was there talking about his girlfriend back on Earth. The next moment, there was only expanding gas and metal fragments drifting in the darkness. Control. "This is Phoenix leader," Dong-Hyun said into his radio. His own ship was badly damaged, systems failing one by one. The aliens are too fast, too strong. Can't fight them with conventional tactics. But as he spoke, Dong-Hyun noticed something. The alien ship that had killed Minho was moving closer, probably to finish him off. Its weapons were powering up for another shot. Dong Haiyan looked at his controls and made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. Instead of trying to escape, pushed his engines to maximum power and aimed directly at the alien vessel. "Control, this is Phoenix Leader," he transmitted. As his fighter accelerated toward the enemy, "Tell my family that we didn't run. Tell them we fought for every person on Earth." His fighter struck the alien ship just behind its main engines. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the moons of Mars. On the bridge of the Hegemony flagship, Beltar stared at the tactical display in confusion. The human pilot had deliberately destroyed himself in one of their scouts. This made no sense. The human had been defeated. His logical choice was to retreat and save his own life. Instead, he had chosen certain death to damage the enemy. "Commander," his tactical officer reported. The human fighter deliberately rammed Scout 7. The pilot had multiple opportunities to escape. Veltar's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Show me the transmission logs from the human pilot." As he listened to Dong Haiyan's final words, Veltar felt something he had not experienced in centuries of warfare. The human had not died for glory or conquest. He had died to protect his family, people he would never see again. He had sacrificed his life to buy his species just a few more hours of existence. "Sir," another officer reported, "we're detecting unusual behavior from the remaining human fighters. They're not retreating. They're forming attack formations, despite being clearly outmatched." Veltar watched as the surviving human pilots regrouped and prepared for another hopeless charge. These creatures were not behaving like any species the Hegemony had encountered. They fought like parents defending their children, not soldiers seeking victory. On Earth, Dr. Young Sunam worked frantically in his underground laboratory. His research partner, Dr. Sa Young Han, had not slept in 36 hours. They were studying fragments of debris from Dong Haiyan's sacrifice, trying to understand alien technology before the final attack began. "The metal is unlike anything we've seen," Sa Young said, her eyes red with exhaustion. "But their energy shields operate on harmonic frequencies. If we can match the resonance pattern..." Yongsu's tired mind suddenly made a connection. It might be able to disrupt their defenses. Outside their bunker, the sky began to glow as hundreds of alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, ready to complete their grim mission. The first energy beam struck Seoul at exactly 6 in the morning. Lieutenant Colonel Sungmin Jang felt the ground shake beneath his underground command bunker as the alien weapon carved a burning line through the city above. On his screens, he watched buildings melt like candles and streets turn to glass. But he also watched something else that made his heart race with hope. "Sir, we're getting reports from around the world," his communications officer said. "All military forces are sharing their data freely. The Americans just sent us their complete tactical analysis. The Russians are coordinating their missile systems with our defense grid." Sung Min had been a soldier for 20 years. He'd seen wars where allies fought each other almost as much as they fought the enemy. Countries hoarded their best weapons and kept their strategies secret. But this was different. Humanity was facing extinction, and old grudges seemed suddenly meaningless. "Connect me to the Global Defense Network," he ordered. Within minutes, Sung Min was talking to commanders from every continent. General Patricia Hayes from the United States, Colonel Dmitry Volkov from Russia, Commander Rajesh Patel from India. Languages mixed together as they shared information that would have been classified secrets just days before. "The alien energy weapons take 12 seconds to recharge," reported Colonel Volkov. "My pilots confirmed this during the attack on Moscow. Our scientists in Tokyo found that their shields weaken when they fire," added Commander Tanaka. "There's a brief window where conventional weapons can penetrate." Sung Min listened to voices from around the world, sharing discoveries that could keep humanity alive just a little longer. Chinese researchers were working with American laboratories. Pilots were teaching their tactics to pilots from former enemy nations. The speed of cooperation was breathtaking. Captain Jae Sung-oh crouched in the ruins of what used to be a shopping center in downtown Seoul. Around him, his unit prepared for the next alien attack. But his soldiers were not just Korean. Was Martinez from Mexico, Singh from India, Thompson from Australia, and Petrov from Russia. Yesterday they had been citizens of different countries. Today they were all human. Sergeant Park Jae-soon called to his second-in-command. Won-sik Park had been his friend since military academy. Remember when we used to complain about political meetings and international relations? Won-sik managed a tired smile as he checked his weapon.
Ow.
You mean back when we thought those were our biggest problems? They gave us something no politician ever could, Jae-sung said, looking at his mixed unit of soldiers. A reason to truly be one species. The alien ships appeared over the horizon like dark clouds. Jae-sung's radio crackled with reports from spotters around the city. Coming hostiles, bearing 270. Estimate 15 minutes to contact. All units, this is Phoenix Base, came the voice of Lieutenant Colonel Sung Min over the radio. Remember, we're not trying to win today. We're trying to survive today. Every hour we hold gives our scientists more time to find a solution. Across the ocean in London, medic Yoon-ji Lee worked in the ruins of a hospital that had been hit by alien energy weapons. The building was half destroyed, but the basement had been turned into a treatment center. She moved between patients, treating burns from energy weapons and injuries from falling debris. What amazed her was that she couldn't tell what countries the wounded came from. There was a British soldier lying next to a Chinese engineer. A French pilot shared a blanket with a Nigerian doctor. In the face of extinction, human differences seemed trivial. Yeonji, we need you over here, called her childhood friend Kyung-ho. Nam. He was an engineer who had been working on London's subway system when the invasion began. Now he was using his knowledge to save lives. What did you find? She asked, following him deeper into the underground tunnels. The entire subway network can be converted into a massive shelter, Kung-ho explained, pointing to blueprints spread across a makeshift table. We can house millions of people down here. Tunnels are deep enough to protect against the energy weapons. Yoon-ji looked at the plans with wonder. This could save the entire city. Already started, Kyung-ho said with pride. Engineers from 12 different countries are working together. We've got power, water, and medical facilities being installed. The beauty is that no one is asking for payment or contracts. Above them, the sounds of battle echoed through the tunnels. Young-ji treated more wounded as they were brought down from the surface. Each person had a story of cooperation and sacrifice. Soldiers sharing ammunition with former enemies. Civilians risking their lives to save strangers. How long can we hold? Yoon-ji asked. During a brief moment of quiet, Kung-ho looked tired but determined. Long enough, he replied. We're not fighting for victory anymore. We're fighting for time. Above Earth, Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the tactical displays with growing confusion. Every prediction his war computers had made was proving wrong. The humans should have collapsed by now. Their cities were burning. Their military forces were scattered, and their casualties were mounting. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, their response patterns are completely unexpected. Instead of fragmenting under pressure, they're becoming more unified. Look at these communication intercepts. Veltar studied the data. Human military. Units were sharing resources across former enemy lines. Scientists were collaborating without regard to national boundaries. Civilians were helping each other regardless of race or religion. Commander, his tactical officer added, their casualty rates should have broken their morale. Our projections showed they would surrender within 48 hours. Instead, resistance is growing stronger. Veltar felt something cold in his stomach. In centuries of warfare, he had seen species fight for territory, for resources, for dominance. But these humans were fighting for something else entirely. They were fighting for each other. Sir, they're adapting to our tactics in real time. Another officer reported, they're learning from every engagement and sharing that knowledge instantly across their entire planet. Veltar realized with growing alarm that his people had made a terrible miscalculation. They had expected to face a species of individual warriors fighting for personal survival. Instead, it awakened something far more dangerous, a species that became stronger when threatened with extinction. 3 weeks had passed since the aliens first attacked Earth. Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue planet that refused to die. His officers moved quietly around him, their confidence shaken by weeks of unexpected resistance. Today was supposed to be different. Today they would finish what they started with a massive bombardment of Australia. "Sir, bombardment fleet is in position," his tactical officer reported. "You can begin the attack on your command." Veltar nodded. But something felt wrong. The humans had surprised them too many times. Every time the hegemony thought they understood these creatures, it did something impossible far below. Commander Taemin Song sat in the cockpit of a fighter that looked like no aircraft ever built by human hands. The hull was human steel, welded to alien metal. The engines were human rockets powered by alien energy cells. The weapons were a mixture of both technologies, cobbled together by desperate engineers working around the clock. "Phoenix Squadron, final systems check." Taemin called to his pilots over the radio. "Phoenix 2 ready," came the voice of Captain Yujin Beek. She was his wingwoman. A former Air Force pilot who had spent the last 3 weeks learning to fly with alien technology. Her hands were covered in burns from handling the strange controls, but she had mastered systems that took alien pilots years to understand. "Phoenix 3 through Phoenix 8, all systems green," reported the other pilots. They were a mix of nationalities and backgrounds, united by the simple fact that they were Earth's last hope, in the underground command center beneath Seoul. Admiral Hyunsu Kong watched the tactical display with tired eyes. He had not slept. More than 2 hours at a time since the invasion began. Around him, officers from every nation worked side by side, their old uniforms replaced by simple gray jumpsuits that showed no flag or nationality. "Admiral, we have new contacts coming from lunar orbit," reported his radar operator. Massive signatures, much larger than previous attacks. Hyunsu studied the screen. The alien flagship was moving into position above Australia. It completed its bombardment. Millions of people would die in the shelters beneath Sydney and Melbourne. "Phoenix Squadron, this is Control," he broadcast. "New contact approaching from lunar orbit. Designation, enemy flagship. You are cleared for intercept." Taemin looked at his instruments and felt his heart sink. The alien flagship was enormous, easily 10 times larger than anything they had faced before. His small squadron of hybrid fighters looked like insects compared to the massive warship. "Copy, Control, beginning attack run." As they climbed toward space, Yujin spoke quietly over the radio. "Taemin, the energy readings from that ship are off the charts. Our weapons might not even scratch its hull." Taemin checked his special payload one more time. Dr. Young Sunam and Dr. So Young.
Yes.
Han had worked for weeks to create this weapon, using alien technology captured from crashed ships. It was untested and possibly suicidal to use, but it was their only chance. "Remember the plan," he told his squadron. "Hit them fast and hard. No heroics. Just buy me enough time to get close." The battle began as soon as they came within range of the flagship. Alien fighters poured out like angry wasps, their energy weapons lighting up the darkness of space. Phoenix 3 exploded immediately. Then Phoenix 5. The humans were outnumbered 20-1, but something strange happened. The human pilots did not fight like the aliens expected. They did not try to win individual duels or show off their flying skills. Instead, they worked together like pieces of a single organism. When Phoenix 6 was damaged, Phoenix 7 immediately moved to protect her. When Phoenix 4 ran out of ammunition, Phoenix 8 shared his weapons. On the alien flagship, Veltar watched the battle with growing amazement. The human fighters were clearly outmatched, but they were not behaving like any pilots he had ever seen. They fought with a desperation that went beyond simple survival instinct. "Commander," his weapons officer reported, "the human fighters are not trying to escape. They're actually getting closer to our position." Geetha's 6 eyes focused on the tactical display. The human squadron was indeed advancing, using tactics that made no sense from a military perspective. They were sacrificing themselves to protect each other, creating openings for their leader to approach the flagship. Yujin's fighter suddenly shuddered as an alien energy beam tore through her starboard wing. Her controls sparked and smoke filled her cockpit, but she did not turn away. "Taemin, my ship is finished," she radioed calmly, "but I can still guide your missile to the target." "Negative, Yujin. Get out of there." "Sorry, my friend." Someone has to light the way. Yuzhen pushed her damaged fighter directly toward the alien flagship, her weapon systems locked onto the massive ship's shield generators. She could have ejected and saved herself, but that would have meant abandoning the mission and letting millions of people die in Australia. For Earth, she transmitted. As her fighter struck the flagship's shields, the explosion was visible from the planet's surface. But more importantly, it created a gap in the alien defenses, just long enough for Taman to fire his experimental weapon. The missile, guided by the sacrifice of his wingwoman, struck the flagship's main shield generator. For the first time in the war, alien shields collapsed completely. On the bridge, Veltar felt his world change. The human pilots had not been trying to win a battle. They'd been trying to protect their home, and they were willing to die to do it. These creatures did not fight for glory or territory, fought like parents defending their children. Multiple hull breaches on decks 7 through 12, his damage control officer reported. Shield generators are offline. Veltar looked at the tactical display where the remaining human fighters were regrouping for another attack. Even after losing half their squadron, they were not retreating. They were preparing to continue the fight until every last one of them was dead. Order the fleet to withdraw to minimum safe distance, he commanded quietly. His tactical officer stared at him in shock. Sir, we still have overwhelming superiority. Veltar watched the human fighters on his screen, thinking about what he had just witnessed. We came here to prevent the rise of galactic monsters, he said slowly. Instead, we may have just forged the most formidable guardians the galaxy has ever seen. For the first time since the invasion began, the alien fleet pulled back from Earth. 6 months had passed since the last alien ship retreated from Earth's orbit. Commander Veltar walked through the halls of what used to be the United Nations building in New York City. The walls still showed scorch marks from energy weapons, but human workers had repaired the damage with a mixture of Earth technology and alien materials. The result was strange but beautiful, like a bridge between two worlds. Commander Veltar, welcome, said Admiral Hyan Sukong as he entered the meeting room. The human admiral looked older than his years, his hair now completely gray from the stress of the war. Beside him sat Dr. So Young Han, the scientist whose research had helped turn the tide of the invasion. Veltar took his seat across from the humans. This was the strangest negotiation in galactic history. Usually, when one species defeated another, they demanded territory, resources, or slaves. But the humans had done something unprecedented. They had won the war, then asked for peace talks. Us begin with your terms, Veltar said, expecting the usual demands for tribute and territory. Admiral Kong placed a document on the table. We want 3 things, he said simply. First, we want guarantees that no species will ever again face extinction without warning. Second, we want protection agreements for worlds that cannot defend themselves. Third, we want to share medical technology to help the wounded from both sides. Veltar stared at the document. You want to help our wounded soldiers, Dr. So Young? Han spoke up. During the war, we captured many of your people. We treated their injuries as best we could. They're still in our hospitals, recovering. We want to make sure they can go home. Your species confounds us, Veltar admitted. We expected conquerors. We found defenders. Admiral Kong's weathered face showed no happiness at their victory. We never wanted to be either, Commander. We just wanted to survive. Outside the building, the sounds of construction filled the air. Engineer Minho Seo directed teams of human and alien workers as they rebuilt the damaged city. The new buildings were unlike anything seen before on Earth, designed to house both human families and alien visitors. Architect Hyjin Park had created structures that could adapt to different atmospheric needs and gravity requirements. The fusion of our technologies is remarkable, Minho told his alien colleague, an engineer named Velthok, who had volunteered to stay on Earth after the war. Your energy systems are so much more efficient than ours, and your construction methods are incredibly adaptable, Velthak replied. We build for permanence. You build for change. Perhaps we can learn from each other. The city, Dr. So Young Han, showed her latest discoveries to a mixed group of human and alien scientists. The war had forced rapid advances in technology as both sides tried to gain an advantage. Those same advances were being used to heal rather than harm. The alien medical scanners can detect injuries that our equipment cannot see, she explained. To her assistant, researcher Junho Kim, combined with our surgical techniques, we can heal wounds that would have been fatal just months ago. Junho looked at the hybrid medical equipment with wonder. It's strange to think that their attempt to destroy us has given us the tools to save lives across the galaxy. That's the irony of war, So-young replied. Sometimes the greatest advances come from the greatest challenges. Far above Earth, Captain Eugen Beek stood on the bridge of the starship Unity, the first vessel crewed by both humans and aliens. She had survived her suicide mission thanks to alien medical technology that had rebuilt her damaged body. Now she served as captain of a ship that represented the future of galactic cooperation. "Captain, we're approaching the Kepler system," reported her first officer, a former alien pilot named Kethra. During the war, he had been her enemy. Now he was her most trusted colleague. "Thank you, Commander," Eugen replied. She looked around the bridge where humans and aliens worked side by side. Her navigator, Lieutenant Dan Baichoi, worked with an alien computer specialist to plot their course. The ship's doctor was human, but his assistant was an alien medic who had learned human anatomy during the war. "The humans have a saying," Kethra told the mixed crew during their morning briefing. "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." "I am beginning to understand why the Galactic Council feared them." "Why is that?" asked Dan Bai. "Because they don't just get stronger when threatened," Kethra explained. "They make everyone around them stronger too." In the depths of space, other alien fleets watched and waited. Word was spreading throughout the galaxy about the species that had defeated the mighty hegemony, not through conquest. Some alien races feared what humanity might become. Others were curious about this new approach to warfare. A few were hopeful that perhaps the galaxy had found its first true peacekeepers. Commander Veltar completed his final report to the Galactic Council from his quarters on Earth, where he served as the first alien ambassador to humanity. The document would change how the galaxy viewed warfare, diplomacy, and the nature of strength itself. "Humanity represents neither the threat we anticipated nor the opportunity we hoped for," he wrote. "They represent something entirely new in galactic history. Their greatest strength emerges not when they attack, but when they have something to protect. We came to prevent the rise of galactic conquerors. Instead, we may have awakened the galaxy's first true guardians." He paused in his writing and looked out the window at the rebuilt city below. Human children played in parks alongside young aliens. Former enemies worked together to build a future none of them could have imagined. "The war is over," he concluded his report, "but the real story is just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had taken its first steps toward the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors. And the universe was watching."